Star Citizen just teased a cargo ship that might make the Constellation Taurus completely obsolete. And if you've been grinding toward a Taurus, you need to see this before you commit. The RSI Hermes is dropping in the next few weeks, and right now every hauler in the game is asking the same question. Does this ship carry enough cargo to justify its existence? Or is CIG about to release another overpriced disappointment? Because the number they reveal for cargo capacity is going to determine whether this ship becomes the new meta or gets forgotten in a hangar somewhere collecting dust. The Taurus has been the sweet spot for cargo runs since March 18th, 1740 SCU, decent firepower, solo friendly. But when that sneak peek dropped yesterday, you probably had that sinking feeling every Star Citizen player knows. That moment where you're staring at your screen thinking, did I just waste my time grinding for the wrong ship? You're somewhere between a Freelancer Max and a Caterpillar in your cargo progression. The Hermes is either going to be your next logical upgrade or a complete trap that wastes your money. With 4.6 dropping on Ep2 right now, we're about to find out which one it is. And look, if you want to catch these updates before everyone else figures out the meta, hit subscribe because we're tracking every ship release and patch notes so you don't have to. Most players are hyped about the new RSI styling. The cargo capacity is the only number that matters. The RSI Hermes is an Apollo variant cargo hauler with an integrated ship tractor beam. It could be designed to sit somewhere between the Constellation and larger industrial haulers. Imagine upgrading from a pickup truck to a box truck. Bigger capacity, more specialized, but you're losing some of that multi-role flexibility. You're running cargo in a Connie right now thinking, I wish I could carry just a bit more. That's because there's this massive gap in Star Citizen's cargo progression. You jump from 174 SCU in the Taurus straight up to 456 SCU in the Caterpillar. That's a 282 SCU gap with nothing in between. The obvious answer seems like save up for a cat, but mid-tier haulers actually make more credits per hour on certain routes. Quantum fuel efficiency and loading times matter more than raw capacity when you're running short-range loops. The math doesn't lie even if the ship brochures do. Cargo grid efficiency beats raw SCU numbers every single time. The Hermes has this rail-mounted ship tractor beam running down the center. You can see these ribbed gray sections on both sides. That's your cargo grid. The Taurus fits exactly 832 SCU containers in a perfect configuration. Load time? About 4 minutes solo with the ship tractor beam. The Caterpillar doing the same Laranite run takes 11 minutes to load. You're moving containers from the pad, through side doors, down these long corridors. Bigger isn't always better when you're burning time. If the Hermes only carries 200 SCU but has a more efficient grid layout, it could actually out-earn a Caterpillar on short-range routes. The sneak peek shows what looks like a 3-level cargo grid on each side. Those sections better fit 32 SCU containers stacked too high. If they don't, you're looking at inefficient packing that wastes space. That's the difference between a ship that prints money and one that sits in your hangar while you fly something else. The grid layout determines your credits per hour more than the brochure specs ever will. CIG knows this. They're banking on most players not doing the math until after they've swiped their card. You know that moment when you realize ship design actually matters? You're running Laranite from Ariel to Lorville in a Taurus. You've just loaded up 174 SCU worth about 890,000 credits. You're feeling great. Then you get interdicted by a Mantis near Hurston. You try to fight back, but the Taurus handles like a brick in atmosphere. You lose the ship, lose the cargo, lose everything. Next day, you're at New Babbage watching someone load a Caterpillar. They're using the side doors, the tractor beam, the whole setup. 15 minutes to load, moving containers from the pad, through the side doors, down these long corridors. The Caterpillar might have 456 SCU, but it's actually slower credits per hour on certain routes because of load time and fuel consumption. That's when it clicks. The Hermes needs to hit a very specific sweet spot. Enough cargo to beat the Taurus. Efficient enough loading to beat the Caterpillar on medium-range routes. Cheap enough operation cost to actually be worth the upgrade. If it misses any of those 3 metrics, it's dead on arrival. And CIG has a track record of missing at least one of those metrics on every cargo ship they've released since the Hull series. What about a rail-mounted tractor beam? This might be the first implementation of a movable ship tractor beam system. Star Citizen's development roadmap has been talking about tractor beam improvements since 2023. The Polaris has a ship tractor beam that's basically useless because it's in a fixed position that doesn't align with the hangar entrance. Every Polaris owner complains about it on Spectrum. The positioning is so bad you're better off using a handheld tractor beam in most situations. If the Hermes launches with a movable tractor beam, it's an instant buy for cargo haulers. You could position it at the ramp for loading, then move it mid-ship for internal cargo organization. That's a game changer for solo players who are tired of doing the tractor beam shuffle. Wait for the Q&A before you buy. CIG will specify if the tractor beam moves or if it's fixed. They always bury the important details in the Q&A after everyone's already panic bought the concept. If it is movable, you can use it for salvage operations too. Position it to grab components off wrecks, then reposition it for cargo loading. You're basically getting two ships in one, which is exactly the kind of efficiency that makes a ship worth owning long term. Without knowing this, you're potentially buying a ship that's only 10% better than what you have. With this knowledge, you can identify if this is a 50% efficiency improvement that justifies the cost. And that's the difference between a smart purchase and a buyer's remorse 3 patches later when you realize you never fly it. Spectrum last week was full of players debating whether the Hermes would kill the Taurus or complement it. Some players swear by keeping the Taurus for its multi-role capability. Decent guns, a snub fighter can do light combat. Others prefer specialization. If you're hauling cargo, haul cargo, don't compromise. Both sides have valid points, but they're missing what the game mechanics actually reward. Specialization makes more money, but flexibility keeps you playing longer. Too many players buy a Hull C, get bored running the same routes, and quit for months. The Taurus keeps people engaged because you can switch to bounties when cargo gets stale. You can bring a ground vehicle for bunker missions. You can do a little bit of everything without being amazing at anything. You've been there, staring at your ship lineup thinking, I spent $200 on this and now I'm bored of it. The Hermes needs to prove it's not just a Taurus with extra steps and a higher price tag. Because if it's just Taurus but with 30 more SCU, nobody's going to fly it except the people who absolutely need to min-max their cargo runs. And that's a tiny percentage of the player base. When the Hermes launches, check the cargo capacity and the ship specs first. If it's under 200 SCU, skip it. Not enough improvement over the Taurus to justify the cost. If it's 250 plus SCU, it's worth considering. That's the threshold where the math starts working in your favor on medium range routes. Spawn it in Arena Commander Free Flight and test the tractor beam. Can you move it on that rail or is it fixed? If it's fixed, check if it actually reaches the cargo grid efficiently. If you're fighting the tractor beam positioning, that's 30 seconds added to every container. Multiply that by 20 containers and you've added 10 minutes to every load. That's the difference between 3 runs per hour and 2 runs per hour. That's real money over time. Check the component loadout. If it has size 2 quantum drive, you're looking at higher fuel costs than the Taurus. Run the math on a typical Laranite route from Arial to Lorville. If the extra cargo capacity doesn't offset the fuel cost increase, it's not worth upgrading. The spreadsheet doesn't lie even when the marketing does. If the ship isn't available for REC rental in Arena Commander, wait 1 patch. Never buy a cargo ship on day 1 without testing the tractor beam workflow. Let other players be the beta testers. Let them discover the bugs, the weird grid placements, the tractor beam that doesn't quite reach the back corner of the cargo hold. While they're panic buying based on hype, you'll be making an informed decision based on actual credits per hour math. That's how you build a fleet that actually makes money instead of looking pretty in screenshots. Different topic now, ship night vision. It finally landed in 4.6. Right Alt plus L activates light amplification on your ship's canopy. Every manufacturer has a different color tint. Anvil is green, Drake is orange, RSI is purple blue, Origin is solid blue, Argo is orange like Drake. This solves the #1 complaint about flying on the dark side of planets. You're doing a bunker mission at night on Aberdeen? You'll actually be able to see the landing zone instead of guessing where the ground is. The tech works like the low-light scopes, a filter over the glass that amplifies available light. The different manufacturers using different colors is a nice touch. Shows CIG is thinking about brand identity even in the small details. Although, let's be honest, everyone's going to turn it on and leave it on regardless of the color tint, because being able to see beats aesthetic preferences every time. Let's talk event. The Clearing the Air event in Nyx is your standard haul cargo, shoot bad guys event. There's a fungal infection from faulty air filters killing people on Levski. You're running supplies to make new filters and antifungal treatments. Criminals are hijacking delivery ships and ransoming victims. The story is fine, whatever. What matters are the exclusive ship paints as rewards. The Paladin and Perseus paints are black and dark gray digi-camo that look incredible, probably the best looking paint CIG has released in months. If you're grinding this event, focus on the combat missions. 25 missions unlocks a VIP transport mission. 50 missions unlocks a hostage rescue mission. Yes, 50 is a grind. That's a lot of repetitive combat missions. But those paints won't be available again, and if you're flying a Paladin or Perseus, you want those paints. There are also paints for the Asgard, the Raft, and the Apollo. The Asgard and Raft ones are turquoise, kind of like Prismarine from Minecraft, that dark sea green color. The Apollo livery is dark gray with bright reds. They're nice, but the Paladin and Perseus ones are the standouts. If you only grind for one set of paints, make it those. The event also has hauling missions, mining missions, resource gathering missions. After 25 hauling missions, you get a special mission where you transport a VIP and a cryopod to Microtech for healing. After 25 combat missions, you get a mission to take out an executive target from the Moraine gang. After 50 combat missions, you rescue a sick VIP in Cryo, who was stolen by a pyro gang and is being held for ransom. The 25 and 50 mission requirements feel like a heavy grind. That's a lot of repetitive missions for one special mission unlock. It would be better if they brought it down to 15 hauling missions and combat missions than 30 combat missions for the second special mission. But that's how it is right now, subject to change if enough players complain about the grind. New industrial mining and salvage missions are in all three systems: Nyx, Pyro, Stanton. They come in easy, medium, and hard variants. The salvage missions have you finding abandoned ships and taking their components: power plants, coolers, quantum drives. You need a certain amount or a specific type, then you submit them down a freight elevator. Other salvage missions have you using your salvage ship to get RMC off a wreck, get construction materials, maybe refine some stuff, then submit that as part of the mission. The mining missions also have different difficulty levels across all three systems. One of them mentions needing an org. The description says, gather your org and gather some ores. This is really challenging. Then you refine the ore and deliver it. That's either a rock cracker teaser, or it's a mission requiring absurd quantities of quantanium in a short time window. Could also be that it's technically a mission to get to the rock cracker locations, and you need an org to break the rock open and run security while you're doing it. 7 new service stations are coming to Nyx, managed by the People's Alliance. They're like the Pyro stations: Gaslight, Endgame, Doties, and Daughters. Smaller stations where you can restock, repair, refuel, rearm, maybe some goods for commodity trading or cargo delivery. More stations means more jump points you can use. Hopefully you're less likely to get interdicted, because right now it's pretty easy to get caught in Nyx if someone's camping the common routes. There are also mentions of ice caves being added. Are they related to the event? Don't know. Maybe you go to Yela to collect specific minerals or materials for the research on the filters or the medical treatments. Could be a new location for FPS missions or just environmental exploration. CIG has been adding more cave systems to give players more variety in mission locations. New Minable in the files called Saturite. The description says it's commonly used in the production of industrial focal lenses in laser applications. That's 100% the resource you'll need for rock cracker lasers. When CIG showed Rockcracker at CitizenCon, they said you need to align several lenses for a laser to focus it properly. That laser cuts open the rock so you can get inside and mine whatever minerals are in there. Saturite is probably a rare mineral you need to go mine and refine yourself. Maybe it spawns in the asteroid belt of Nyx. You mine it, refine it, take it to the Rockcracker location. Maybe there's a little refiner on site where you insert the resource and it makes a focal lens. Then you align the lenses and power up the laser. That's speculation, but the timing makes sense. Saturite shows up in the files the same patch that has a Rockcracker event entry. The Rockcracker event entry is in the files but not active yet. Probably not the focus for 4.6, but maybe the patch after that. It'll probably work like Hathor locations. A persistent location you can visit anytime, but there might be an event that focuses on it for a patch or two with special rewards. Hopefully you can make decent money from it. Maybe another way to get Quantanium, or pure Quantanium, but in larger quantities. Or maybe they add new resources you can only get from Rockcracker locations. There are mentions in the files for a new flight model Arena Commander mode. You'd face off against new flight model ships flown by AI, 1 to 4 player mode. CIG hasn't talked much about new flight model specifics since the leaks from about 2 months ago. They had a playtest with some people that instantly got leaked, because that always happens with this game. From what got leaked, the ships were flying a lot more like traditional planes, a lot more limited in their lateral thrust, much more reliant on main thrusters if you want to go fast or have a lot of thrust available at one time. Makes sense from a physics standpoint. Maneuvering thrusters are small, main thrusters are huge, but it removes some of the 6 degrees of freedom you get with a ship that has all those maneuvering thrusters. Some players aren't going to be happy about that. It changes the fundamental feel of Star Citizen's flight model, but CIG wants to bring in a mode to make it easier for everyone to try it out and give feedback. Test out how it feels without committing to it in the persistent universe. At least that's the theory. Could also be that this is just for another under NDA test and the files got included by accident. Either way, flight model changes are coming at some point. Whether that's this year or next year, who knows? CIG's timeline predictions are more like suggestions, but they're clearly still working on it, and if there's an Arena Commander mode in the files, that means they're getting closer to wanting public feedback on it. There are mentions of rewards for upcoming events in January, February, and March. Lunar New Year is the year of the rat. There's an envelope, a flare coin, a lantern, an undersuit, and a helmet. Little cosmetic stuff you can earn. Coramore in February is the in-lore version of Valentine's Day. There's a selfie heart flare hologram. Might be a subscriber item or something you earn from doing missions in-game. Stella Fortuna in March has a Fortuna racing suit and helmet you can wear when you're doing racing. These quarterly events are CIG's way of keeping engagement up between major patches. Little cosmetic rewards, some themed missions, nothing groundbreaking, but it gives players something to do. The Hermes needs 200 plus SCU to matter. The tractor beam rail system could change how ship tractor beams work across the entire game. Cargo grid efficiency beats raw capacity every time. Those are the three things to remember when this ship launches. Next time you log in, take your current cargo ship and time your full load to delivery cycle on one route. Write down that number. When the Hermes launches, run the exact same route and compare. That's the only metric that matters. Not the brochure specs, not the marketing, not what some streamer says. Your actual credits per hour on the routes you fly. What's your cargo ship progression looking like? Are you grinding toward a Taurus, or are you waiting to see if the Hermes is worth it? Drop your current ship and target ship in the comments. Let's see where everyone's at in the cargo game, and whether this ship is actually going to change the meta, or just be another hanger queen. Don't sleep on that night vision feature. It's the quality of life improvement we've needed for 2 years. No more guessing where the ground is on the dark side of a moon. No more crashing into mountains because you couldn't see them until it was too late. This is the year Star Citizen either delivers on engineering, base building, and server meshing, or we're all flying cargo ships in circles for another 12 months. The Hermes is just the first test of whether CIG learned anything from the past 2 years of ship releases.